everybody. Time for the very latest business news. Hi there, Will.
Hi, Trevor.
Today we're looking at a landmark. 10 years ago, the internet giant Google hit the stock market, and such a lot has changed since then, hasn't it?
That's right. It's evolved even further beyond its roots as an internet search engine. Its initial public offering in 2004 gave the company a market cap of $23 billion, enough to make instant millionaires out of 1,000 employees. Not a bad start for a company whose first office was in a garage. 10 years after its IPO, Google has 52,000 employees, 20 times its workforce a decade ago, and its projected revenue for this year tops $67 billion. Its out-of-this-world ambition has carried the tech giant to space. Google plans to invest more than $1 billion in 180 small satellites that would orbit the Earth, with the goal of bringing internet access to all. But back here on the ground, Google has plenty of other goals. Delana D'Souza looks at what's next for the company.
A search engine which over the course of a decade has become so much more. 10 years after its listing on Wall Street, Google continues to reshape its business. The company has become a leader in email, maps, video sharing, and mobile computing. Through its Android software, Google has stepped up its fight for dominance in wearable technology with its rival Apple. The company has already announced plans to computerize watches and glasses.
We're right at the beginning in a new phase in the miniaturization of technology, which means that it's finally possible to make a powerful computer small enough to wear comfortably on your body all day long. And there's a huge opportunity to bring rich user experiences to these devices.
Since its listing, Google's market value has risen to nearly $400 billion, and it's because of its deep pockets the company has managed to revolutionize technology. Google plans to roll out a driverless car by 2020, and in June this year it announced it would place its Android software in vehicles, taking its fight with Apple to another field.
And over 25 car brands have signed up to ship Android Auto in the near future. What's more, the first cars with Android Auto will be rolling off dealer lots before the end of this year.
In January, the company acquired smoke detector Nest Labs for $3 billion, a move which will likely see Google physically expanding its footprint from people's everyday lives into their homes.
Let's take a look now to see how the markets are doing, starting with a close here in Europe. Tensions were eased over the Ukrainian crisis, boosting trading. Positive earnings helped push the FTSE, DAX, and CAC 40 all up into the green. The FTSE and the CAC 40 both finishing at just over 0.5% up, while the DAX was up nearly 1%. On Wall Street, trading was boosted by positive data, the Nasdaq hitting a 14-year high. The U.S. cost of living appears to be flat, even as the economy is improving, and home construction rose nearly 16% in July. That led to big gains for Home Depot. The do-it-yourself retailer reported earnings that beat expectations and hiked its outlook. Well, time now for a quick look at company news. We begin with BHP Billiton. It unveiled its long-awaited restructuring plan. It will create a more than €10 billion new metals and mining company. The new entity will be listed on Australia's stock market, with a secondary listing expected in South Africa. The world's biggest mining firm saw an increase of 23% in annual profits to €10 billion, still just shy of analyst expectations. And thanks to better-than-expected quarterly earnings, Maersk is planning its first-ever share buyback in the company's 110-year history. The Danish shipping and oil giant will buy $1 billion of shares in the 12 months from the 1st of September, and will also consider more buybacks later. The world's largest container shipping line said underlying net profit should now be more than $4.5 billion, up 12.5% from an already raised forecast 3 months ago. Well, earlier I mentioned investors, at least for the moment, are shaking off some worries over Ukraine, but the crisis is having a noticeable effect on the Russian economy. Already hurting from Western sanctions, now it seems Russia is suffering from its own ban of Western food. In St. Petersburg, food has increased some 10% according to the city's economic policy chief, and that inflation is even before the impact of the sanctions. The hike is even more dramatic for staples like pork and chicken, both of which have risen well over 20%. Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev said Monday that he did not expect the ban to increase prices, but he also hoped that it wouldn't last longer than a year. Now, Russia has also had to prepare for life without credit cards like Visa and MasterCard. Russian banks were scrambling to find a means to accept a payment system to fill the vacuum. It seems to have found a solution in the Chinese system, Union Pay, though some banks are saying this Chinese system is the only alternative, but it will take time to get it up to steam. Let's listen to an expert.
Currently, just over 27,000 places accept China Union Pay cards, and that's incomparable with Visa and MasterCard. It will be very difficult to replace the national bank card system. It will take a long time for all banks to join.
That's it for business. I'll be back in just over an hour, Catherine.
All right, thanks very much, Will Hildebrand there with the business news update. It's time now to get the very